I didn't know you had that kind of speed. How'd you do it?
I don't know, I just... How'd I do it? I'm fast and you're slow. That's how I did it.
I had just been driving along because my beloved and I, we tend to say a prayer before we depart and hit the road. Long story short, we tend to say an out loud prayer. And I had just come to realize over the past couple months that when I get in the car, like, I still say my prayer, but I haven't been saying it aloud. And this particular time, I just decided to say, like, outright or out loud a little prayer. I was like, Father, cover me. Like, please don't allow anything to, like, hinder this trip, that I get to my destination safely. And, like, the day has been so smooth before this. Everything has been happening very nicely, and maybe this is just me balancing out the scales to be a just weight again. But currently, I come to you as I'm sitting in a mud pit. I just had to come correct and finish that up last night because I just didn't even come back to it. It was so much happening. But I am so grateful that I was able to get out of that circumstance. Literally at the point that the video had cut off, it was just me. Like, there was another gentleman who was assisting me in the process, and he was coming back. He hadn't really given me a time to think, so literally me even coming on video was just like me kind of decompressing. But I say all this to say, and it was kind of funny how the Most High even, like, so first and foremost, as that message was put on my heart, I saw a TikTok that was talking about how there are apps that you can actually download where if you sign up for that app, you can log in or view the streaming of any camera that's like placed globally. So you can log into street surveillance cameras, or you can log into people's house surveillance cameras, and I thought that was crazy in itself. But it's like we openly invite these devices to be in our presence. Like, you have an Alexa, you have a cell phone, you have your laptop, you have your smart TVs, etc., etc. Now we have dishwashers and washing machines and all of those things being hooked up to our Wi-Fi. And those are things that can be used as vessels to carry the energy or the spirit of certain things that would be able to even hear or get insight as to what it is that you're doing in your house or in your house. If you're saying these things aloud, then they can pick that up. And it's like, I'm reminded of the verse where it speaks of, like, do you not know that your bodies are a temple of the Most High? Like, and he can come in, his spirit will dwell within it. You know, with robots and all of this AI technology, and recognizing that this artificial intelligence, like, it is trying, maybe prayerfully, maybe unsuccessfully, trying to replace the human workforce. Furthermore, we know that we don't know, this is all conspiratorial, but I have a grand hunch that they are creating these robots so that they can actually house the vessels or house the spirits that are crossing this dimensional plane. The biggest thing that I have to wrap up out of this is, like, similarly to how we know that Christ had the power to curse out the demons, or to remove the demons from the vexed man who had so many spirits upon him that he was like, we are legion, and he cast them out into the pigs. Like, it doesn't necessarily, like, we think of these vessels or these houses that these spirits are to go into always have to be, like, organically built. But we know that they're also trying to replicate DNA cells. They're trying to grow on pigs using their skin. And the reason why I personally don't eat pork is because many moons ago I saw an article about a cannibal who was speaking about, like, what it was like to eat human flesh, and it was like, it tastes just like pig. Like, it tastes just like fat, or I don't even know the cuts anymore, but like lardon, or it tastes like cracklings, or it tastes like this, that, and the third, and like just tastes like pork. And it was like, even if you look at a pig, they have such human eyes. So we know that in the labs they are creating bioengineered versions of, you know, these organic and inorganic Miri clay mixings, admixtures. I don't want to go down that full course, but this in front of us, this is the thing that we tend to overspeak into. This is the thing that we know that Siri already does her spy camera thing where she takes all of our photos throughout the years and compiles them into little slideshows. These are the things that are keeping track of what you're doing throughout your days, coming and goings. So is it so far out of pocket to perceive that these are the monitoring spirits as well? And now, of course, they don't create phones that have removable batteries like they used to. At least once upon a time ago, you could kind of feel a little security in knowing that your phone was fully off. But we don't have that anymore. So I just wrapped this up really quickly, and I had more verses that I could have brought to it, but I'm without all of my stuff right now. I just caught it to you live and raw. Also referencing back to the book of Job, like, it was speaking about the fact that, like, Hashatan or Satan does not have the capacity or the capability to be present at all places. Like, he literally was just wandering the earth, and under the jurisdiction of the Most High, he was able to be in the presence and to ask for permission to impact the life of Job. Not without permission can he do these things. Like, the Father protects us, and when we are in his hedge of protection, it's doggone near impenetrable. It wasn't necessarily, and I don't want to make it sound like the Father was just betting on our lives, but he knew that Job was a righteous man, and he knew that he wasn't going to fall so hard that he would curse out the Father in doing so. Like, I will say that he was an integral man, and even when his wife was like, have you no integrity? Like, are you standing this firm to your integrity? Like, just curse God and die. It's like, he was like, no, I'm not even gonna do that. Like, he was literally on the doorstep of death. But he couldn't be killed because that was the one agreement that Satan wasn't able to violate. Here I am going off into a tailspin. But my point still comes back to the fact that Hashatan does not have the power to be everywhere at once. Only through his devices does he have that power. And it's only by permission that he's able to get in as close as he can. Originally, it's kind of funny, and this will be my wrap-up point. Originally, this was funny because I was actually taking notes of the precepts when I was having this realization of the monitoring spirit and how it could be perceived through our technology, that it is a monitoring spirit. I started taking those precepts and writing them down in my notes. I find that very funny because literally I'm keeping the information, tracking all of these thoughts that I have towards this very vessel in that vessel. Usually I write it just down on paper, pen and paper, old school. No one else can see it except for me and the Most High and anybody I invite to look at my journals. But I wrote it in the actual technology. And then that's when my day started to, like, oddly enough, just started to tailspin, as if to not even let me get this message out. But I am showing my diligence to the Father by still allowing it to come to pass. And it may not have been as smooth as it was originally, but it still needed to be said. So I just want you to understand that when you give permission to your devices to be so closely with you at all times, don't be surprised if you say something aloud and then it obviously comes to pass in a way that's obstructing the way that you thought you were going to be proceeding about your day. So just be mindful. You don't have to necessarily be fearful or anything of that nature. Just be mindful. Because again, the Father can use all things, both good and bad, to his benefit and to his glory. So with that awareness, I hope this message reaches you well, and I pray that you have a simply marvelous day. Love you. Peace.